So you've built this awesome n8n workflow. Maybe it's a lead scraper or content generator, whatever. Every time you want to use it, you have to open n8n, find the workflow, then manually trigger it. It's clunky, right? If you ever thought about building a web UI for it, you probably assume that you need to know how to code, set up a backend, maybe deal with authentication or database. But here's the thing, you don't. There's literally one prompt that builds the entire UI in about 10 minutes. No code, no database, completely free. I run an AI community of over 200 members where we build AI workflows using n8n every day, and this method works for every workflow you've built. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to turn any n8n workflow into a clean web interface using one AI generated prompt. Let's get into it. So before we get to n8n or Lovable, I want to quickly show you the final product, because we're turning this Google Maps scraping workflow you can see here into this. You can see the old one was clunky and every time you have to run it, you go into n8n, but here you can just run it directly through this web UI that we just created, which is extremely clean. And all you have to do is to trigger this, just basically put in your business niche, basically the inputs that the workflow would require. So in this case, we'll just put in, let's put med spa, let's put Nottingham. Let's put 10 places to make this quick, and let's put 4. And once you click on click, this will basically trigger your n8n workflow in the backend without you having to see all of those clunky interface, the nodes, the parameters, all those kind of things. And once it's done, you're going to get this output in this web UI. And there we have it. I just triggered my n8n workflow using this clean web UI without having to go into n8n and triggering it. And you might ask, what makes this better than doing the n8n? First of all, you can make this easily shareable to other people so they can use your workflow, because sometimes if they hear the complexity maybe, okay, you might have to go into n8n to trigger it, they will be like, no, I'm good, I don't want to try it. But when they see it's a clean UI, would be more inclined to give it a try. So that's the first one, and for convenience sake, it's much easier and straight to the point. So you might ask, how can we get this workflow you're seeing right here into this clean web UI interface? Well, it's actually very easy to do, so let me show you how to do that. So before we get into building you have to set a few key foundations for our n8n workflow to follow, and those two key foundations we have here are the input and the output. And what I mean by the input, it's basically the user defined inputs that change after every workflow run. So you can see here for the user defined inputs, we have business niche, business location, minimum stars, and number of places to scrape. These key values can change for every workflow. Let's say this time I want to scrape med spa, the next time I might want to scrape contractors or plumbers or roofers. So it completely depends. The location might change from Nottingham to Birmingham to London to Miami, anywhere in the world. The number of places can change too as well. Maybe next time I want to scrape 100 businesses or 1,000 businesses. So you can see these are user defined inputs that change for every run. And let me show you how we use this user defined inputs. You can see here in the API HTTP request node, you can see this is where we put in the business type, the location, the number of places to scrape, and also the minimum stars. And where we set these inputs are in this webhook node. So first of all, you want to always start your workflow with a webhook node. Whatever is to trigger it with before, you have to make amends and make changes, because now we are going to be using a webhook node, because that is how we'll be triggering our workflow from our UI. And if we check this webhook node here, if we scroll down, we can see we have the 4 inputs that we mapped out, which is business niche, business location, number of places to scrape, and the minimum stars. So go to the workflow that you want to create a UI for and map those user defined inputs, not the system defined ones, because those are constant over multiple nodes, but the user defined ones that change for everyone. Map those, and then once you map those, you want to create a JSON by basically going here, sec. Then you want to create a JSON. You want to map the inputs here. For example, you want to put business type. This is like a mock input for testing the workflow. So we want to put NetSpar, then create the next key, which we have business location. To have norm of places. Yep. We have 10. And also take note of the data type. You can see here we're using integer, so we have to make sure it's represented in the JSON. If it was a string, it would be this, but since we're using it as an integer, it would be something like this. And 4 stars, 4. It's 4. Let's click on format here at the bottom, and you can see we have our mock test. Go to the webhook node, unpin your existing data, click on this, remove it and paste it here. And what you want to do now is just basically test your current workflow using these mock inputs that you put. So for example, let's see if the variable here was not this here, what you want to do is just copy this and drag it here. Also for the education query, do the same for all of your inputs. Make sure they're all mapped to the appropriate nodes so that the workflow will run from this webhook node. And if it works, you're already halfway there. And finally, order foundation, as I've said, there are 2. First being input, second one is output. Outputs being the results that you want to get at the end of the workflow. In this case, for this Google Maps scraping workflow, it's a CSV that we get, which we can download in the web UI. In some other cases, it might be a video, or there are some workflows that we don't even need to get the results. All we need is a notification that something was done. Let's say you have a workflow that creates personalized emails for your leads. You just need to trigger that workflow from a web UI, and then once the workflow is done running, you get a notification in your web UI that says all the workflow has been done, and here's the Google Sheet. So you just click on the Google Sheet and it opens, and you can see your personalized emails for all of your leads. So you could do it those ways. So make sure that your output is set here. You can see here what we put is a binary file where you can change. Let's say, for example, here you can see it's a binary file, but it doesn't have to be a binary file like this one. It could be, let's say, simple text where we can get an output from something, let's say from here, and then we just drag it here. Even though it doesn't make sense, but then you get what I mean. You can drag anything to your output, and this is what you would get in the front end. So let's say for a video, you put a video URL here for CSV, like I did. You just basically go to binary file here, and it would automatically choose from the inputs, which is the last node basically. So that's completely up to you. All if, let's say, it was a notification, or just be a text that says email has been sent over. So make sure that the workflow foundation has been set. So you have your input mapped out and your output mapped out. So once you have those, you're ready for the next step, which is safeguarding your workflow and preventing it from being abused, because you're putting this on the web. So we have to make sure our n8n workflow is safeguarded. And you might say, Ahmed, why do I even need to safeguard my n8n workflow? Well, anyone that gets their hand on your webhook URL, this production URL here, they can basically run your workflow. It get extremely bad, because first of all, they can consume all of your API credits. And not just that, also it's going to cost you in compute cost, because let's say you're self-hosted n8n, wherever you're self-hosted n8n, it's going to accumulate your compute cost. Not just that, but let's say you're using a cloud hosted version, you probably have limited runs for a certain workflow, or let's say concurrent runs. So if somebody is maliciously using your n8n workflow, those costs are going to ramp up and it's going to be bad. So we have to make sure our workflow is safeguarded and avoid it from being abused. So we have to go into the webhook node here and set up an authentication. So we're going to go into the header auth here, and let's create a new workflow where you have to put in a name just so that you can easily recognize it from our credentials list. We can find Google Maps, Scraper, auth. Put the name as authorization. Actually, we just put the token. Then you want to come over to this website, which can generate a token for you ASAP. So you can see here, we can enable different things that we want included in our token. We can even add symbols, which makes it even more complex, but I'm just going to keep it default. And also you can also increase the length. I'm just going to keep it default, as I said. Copy this and make sure you do not forget this code, because if you do forget it, you're not going to be able to trigger your n8n workflow. So make sure you have this stored in a safe place, and go back into your n8n and paste it into the value placeholder and click on save. And there we have it. So we've basically safeguarded this n8n workflow, and I know the part you've been waiting for. Finally, we're going to get into that now, which is basically building the clean web UI interface here you're seeing here using just one prompt. And creating this UI is going to be extremely easy. So easy that the previous parts that I showed you are going to be very harder compared to this. And what makes this easier is this prompt template, which you can see here. And in order for you to get access to this prompt template, all you have to do is click the first link in the description below and join the Builders Lab community. Once you're there, you're going to go over to the classroom section, tools and resources, scroll all the way down to the one-shot lovable UI prompt template, copy it and open a random notepad and paste it so you can follow through with these instructions that I'm about to tell you. So first things first is basically the workflow name. So for this example, let's say it will be the Google Maps scraper. And for the inputs, you can remember I told you to map out your inputs in the JSON. So for input, we'll put business refresh. Just put text box. You don't need to put anything else. Then next thing is business location. Won't get the text box. Next thing is ticket number on this or Senate straight. Get stuff numbers. Actually, you know what? Hey, you don't even need to put in text box. I just want to show you how advanced this is and how good it is. So we have this as the inputs. Then and finally, we're going to put minimum styles. And then once you've finished listing them out, what you want to do next is get that JSON that we mapped out, copy it, and go back to the notepad and map them to this JSON. Just see map them to this JSON, but I forgot to add one more thing. Then just say add a sidebar. Node. Home. Include this input boxes. Include a webhook input box and a token in box. And these two inputs is how we'll be accessing your n8n workflow in the backend. Then once you have these two set, go to the process and just see send the input in the JSON format above API call to the webhook URL provided in the web input box. Then use the token input box as the authorization. See, will be needed to access on workflow. So in headers, the name, the header is called token, and the meaning is token box. Obviously, this can be written in a simpler way, but this is just what I've put. And for the output, go to your n8n workflow, which you have here, and you can see here we have a binary file. But let's say your output could be a JSON or even a link, or even a video link or a message. Just go to here and just describe it as it is. As you can see here, I'm just going to tell you. So you receive a binary file as your input. Gonna be a CSV. Let's play it and give us an option to download it. Once you have that as the input, actually we need to click on the generate button. A generate button, that's it. But now let's here, once the generate button is clicked, show in loading bar, once you have seen a response, display it in the output. Like for color guide, we just use Google Colors. That is basically it. This prompt just gives you a guideline in order for you to basically textually explain how you want your web UI to look like. So just copy this, go into ChatGPT and just paste it, and it would create a detailed prompt that you can give to Lovable to create a UI for you, one shot, and I'll be showing you that live. So copy it, go to Lovable, and also this can be done for free. As you can see here, I'm using a free account, so you don't even need to pay for anything. Paste in your prompt, cut out the top and the bottom, which you don't need, and just click on this, and Lovable will basically get to work and create your web UI. And you can see here it's thinking through everything and it's going to create the web UI. So once it's done, I'm going to show you the results. So it just finished, and just to prove to you that I did not send any follow-up messages and this was done one shot, you can see here there is no follow-up message sent by me. And you can see here we have a good clean looking UI, which includes the inputs as we provided: business needs, business location, number of businesses, and the minimum rating as well. But what we want to do now is first of all set up the variables that we'll be sending so that our n8n application can get familiar with the payload that it will be sending. So first of all, go to the settings here, go back to your n8n application, go to the webhook node, copy this test URL. And the reason why we're doing this is because Lovable is not going to send this body only. What it's going to do is, in this example you can see here, it sends headers as well, it sends parameters, query, and then we have the body here. And if you don't configure it, then subsequent, so let's say on the next work nodes, are going to probably fail because they don't have the right variable names mapped into the variable fields. We have to make sure that is set. So just click on listen to test event here, copy it, go back to your new UI, paste it, And remember the token that we just created, copy it, paste it here, click on save, and then let's put a quick test field. Click on MedSpa, click on Nottingham, click on 10. Just click on generate. Obviously you'll get no responses because this is a test event. What we are looking to get is this, basically the right format that we're looking to get. You can see here we get the business niche, business location, number to scrape, and the minimum stars. And what you want to do in the next workflow is make sure that it's all mapped out. So you can see them properly done because I've done this before. But make sure for yours that you have basically set the input variables to the right nodes and right fields. So once you've set that up, your workflow is now ready. Now you don't need to do anything. Just click on save here, click on active, and all you have to do is just click on the production URL here, copy it, go back to your lovable UI. Actually, let's even publish it. Publishing tab. And we can even change the domain name if we'd like. We can go here, check. You can type in, let's put Gmaps scraper. This is available. Yes, it is. So just copy it, and if you open it in a new tab, we get our UI, as you can see here. And let's win our variables. Let's put MedSpa here. Let's put Nottingham 10 for. Let's get our production URL. Yeah. Paste it. And let's get the token. Paste it. Just click on save. All you want to do now is just click on generate. And what it's going to do is going to trigger our workflow, because if you go to our n8n application here, we can see that our workflow is currently running, which got triggered from this application. So just give it a few seconds, depending on how large your workflow is, and once it's done, you're going to get a result as you've explained in that prompt template. And it just finished. So you can see here, we get our business results, which we can see here. And you can also download it, and also you can save the webhook URL and the token, so that whenever you want to run this workflow, you don't have to go into n8n, get your webhook URL, paste it, get your token and paste it. So you just save it on your browser. And let's say you even want to share this workflow, or you want to give somebody access to use it. All they have to do is just to give them this URL link. Once they have it, just give them your webhook URL and the token, and that's it. You can also run your workflow and get the results. And if they don't have your token, they can't get access to your workflow. And output, you can see, as I told you, we get it in a nice displayed format. You can also download it, which you can see here. And as I've told you, this would be done in one shot, and this looks extremely good. And to even prove to you that you need the right authorization token for you to be able to access the n8n workflow, let's paste in a different authorization token here. And let's click on save. Let's try and click on generate, and you see we get an error because it's the wrong authorization token. So as I've said, this makes your workflow secure and easy to use, not just for yourself, but for the other people that you're going to share this workflow with. And there you have it. You just turned an n8n backend into a clean web UI interface in 10 minutes. No code, no databases, completely free, as I've promised. No more opening n8n in order for you to trigger a simple workflow. You can just get your webhook URL and use it from anywhere, even from your mobile phone. You can trigger your n8n workflow. And as I've said, you can grab the prompt template that generates the one-shot prompt from my community, which is the Builders Lab, by clicking the first link in the description below. And once you've built your web UI, come into the community and show us what you've built. Your business and you're lost in this AI world or should I say AI hype, and you need an AI strategy laid out for your business, you can book a strategy call with my team, which is the second link in the description below, and you can get you started with that. Don't forget to like and also comment the n8n walkthrough that we'll be building the web UI for, as well as subscribing for more n8n walkthroughs just like this. Right now, that's it from me. Go ahead and build yourself a good looking UI just like the one that I built today, and can't wait to see your result in the community. So see you there.